Hello guys, and welcome to another Multitypes Workflow tutorial with me, Eldrin from Logic Lemire. Today we're going to be looking at some hair techniques in Cinema and Maya to add hair to our characters. Today we're going to be taking Testa, and we're going to be taking a little bit of a break from the animation we finished previously. And we're going to be creating a brand new animation, just a real quick one, utilizing my new character rig here. So over the last couple of months, I've kind of been on hiatus from the last tutorial. I was going to do a tutorial really quickly about cloth, particularly how to use qual cloth in Maya to animate cloth on characters. I'm still working on that one, but I took a little bit of a break because I wanted to create a new rigging system. I saw that R16 was coming out, and I was really excited about the interaction tag. If you haven't taken a look, look into Grayscale Gorilla and What's New in Cinema 4D. They have a really great example of the interaction tag, and I was going to do quite a few tutorials about that tag, particularly with facial animation. But as I was prepping for R16 and getting into some of the facial rigging components, I realized that doing everything in Motion Builder and kind of sort of, skimming over the Cinema 4D systems kind of put us at a little bit of that disadvantage. So to make it easier to get into Cinema 4D and be able to do different things, and to give myself a little bit more capability, I've went ahead and I've actually created a complete Genesis rig, custom rig, using the character object system that was introduced in R13. So with this new rig, you will be able to fully build a custom rig, any Genesis character. It's based on the original Genesis rig. And you'll be able to add legs and add arms, all the basic stuff that you're able to do with the character object. I believe Digital Tutors and Lynda.com both have really great tutorials on the character object. I myself will be doing a extensive tutorial on how my rig works once it's ready for release. Just working out a few more kinks with it, but basically it works like any rig and any other animation package. So here we can grab our hand here, and we have full IK capability. With our PSR reset button here, we're able to reset. That's built directly into Cinema 4D, so go ahead and do that, and we can go to mesh, commands. It escapes me sometimes where that tool is. Luckily, in Cinema 4D, you can always hit Shift-C and use this kind of sort of kitchen sink command option to kind of sort of find your command and reset it that way. It's in one of these menus. I believe it's the mesh menu somewhere, to PSR reset. But we've got all the common controls. We've got the chest here, which is based on a full spline IK system, so it's got twist built into it, which is really nice. The character object itself has the ability to easily allow you here to reset the pose back to T-pose, so we can quickly reset our pose. We've got a neck control here, just going to allow us to quickly rotate the neck. Some of the objects haven't gotten weighted, but in my tutorial I'll be showing you how to, of course, weight the extra objects that don't get weighted automatically with my system. Speaking of the system, it doesn't just come with the rig, but it also comes with this beautiful plugin I've designed, the Genesis Weight Transfer. So if you take a source mesh, I don't have one in this project, I've deleted all the extraneous stuff. But if you take your original Genesis mesh as imported from DAZ and drag it in as the source, and then you make a copy of that mesh and drag it in as the target, and just add the bones from the new Genesis rig into its weight tag. So I'll be showing you that as well. You'll be able to easily drag these bones in. They've all got a very nice naming scheme of skin added to them, so they're very easy to select. You just grab them all from the character object and drag them in here. Both objects have weight tags. You drag them in here, you hit execute, and it'll transfer the weights from the original Genesis character to this new rigging system. From that point on, you'll be able to use Cinema 4D's controls to be able to do all the same things that you're used to in Motion Builder. This will open the door to being able to allow you to use Cinema 4D's motion clip system and various other different techniques to be able to do some really interesting animation. In today's tutorial, we're going to do some pretty basic animation on this character using this rig, and we're going to export that out using Alembic into Maya, and then we'll use Maya's XGen system to be able to generate some really nice hair. So unlike other tutorials, I actually have an example, because I've went through and kind of sort of worked out the bugs in this technique a little bit. Took some working, but got an idea, so I'm very excited to share this one with you. And let's go ahead and bring this render up over here. Awesome. So we're going to go into Maya, and we're going to use Arnold and XGen to go ahead and create this really awesome looking hair sequence. We're going to use Cinema 4D to go ahead and create the hair dynamics, and then once again we're going to use the Alembic format to be able to allow us to go into another application to finish out the rendering. Alright, so let's begin. So right now we've got a Testa 2 asset, so this is kind of sort of new a little bit. If we come over here, as I explained I think last tutorial or a few tutorials ago, with this folder structure, you have a master asset, and this is very useful for things like Shotgun or other scheduling management systems, or just in general if you have like a small studio, or even if you're by yourself, you know, just to keep organized, it really helps. But we basically have all of our stuff divided out into folders here. And then in the C4D folder, I've got a couple of variations of the Testa asset here. But in particular, this Testa asset version is a finalized copy of Testa as I want her to be before I go ahead and I start using XREF to bring her into other scenes. This way, this scene becomes the master. It has everything that we need to get the job done. And if an edit is made to this scene, it changes the character across the board for all of the shots in our movies or animations, which makes things really streamlined. Anyway, if we turn on our hair system, which if you've watched a few of my other tutorials with the Testa 2 character here, you've probably noticed that that hair system has been in here. I created this hair system to test out a few things, but today we're actually going to go ahead and play around with it. So let's go ahead and hit delete on the hair system real fast. And here in our asset, we're going to go ahead and create that hair system from scratch. So what we want to do is we want to grab our mesh, and we want to grab the polygon selection. And what we want to do is go into live selection mode. Let's make sure only select visible elements is on. And we want to go ahead and we just want to start to select a few polygons here to define a scalp area for us. We can use our edge loops here to define like a really nice curvature here. Maybe we don't want to select these, so I'm going to hold Control and deselect those. And also, just so you guys are aware, I'm actually using Cinema 4D R15 for this tutorial right now. I really love some of the new features in R16. The interaction tag is probably going to be like one of the big things that I'm going to be trying to do a lot of interesting stuff with, especially as far as character animation is concerned. But the poly pen has been very useful in my work for doing various things. I've used it on a few architectural design projects here in Cinema. Came in very handy during a recent project. The reflectance channel is interesting, but I'm really looking forward to the new Arnold plugin that is coming to Cinema 4D apparently sometime here in Q4 of this year. So Arnold is amazing. I've been playing around with it a lot, especially in Maya of late, and I'm just floored with it. I absolutely adore that renderer, and I am really looking forward to it here. In the meantime, since we don't have it here and the job needs to continue, we're going to go ahead and show how we can use it in Maya to get some interesting things done while we kind of sort of wait for it to be prepared for our platform here, and just to get a taste of, you know, some of the reasons why Arnold is taking over the VFX industry a little bit. It's truly an amazing renderer. But alright, so we've got that hair selected, and in Maya, and in fact in most packages, if you're going to use another package that supports Arnold, say Houdini or Sofimage, I've noticed with a lot of other packages, they tend to like a definition of geometry to be kind of sort of separated. Because otherwise, like with XGen, especially in Maya, it will generate primitives all over your mesh if you don't define like a specific area, and that could be like memory intensive, and it could really like mess you up. That being the case, we here in Cinema, we can actually just go ahead and simulate this directly on this mesh, and it will use the polygon selection, which is really nice about Cinema. So if we go to hair and we go ahead and add a hair system, yeah, there we go, add hair. It's going to go ahead and create hair where we told it to. If we hit Control Z real quick though, what we can do is we can actually duplicate this mesh, and for Maya's purposes, I like to call this like hair cap. Seems to work really well. And I like to go ahead and delete the weight tag. So we're going to get rid of the weights, and we're going to get rid of the skin, and we're just going to leave this mesh as kind of sort of static. We don't really need any of the tags either, so we can get rid of all of that stuff. And then we're going to go ahead and invert the selection. So I'm going to come over here and invert, and then we're going to go ahead and hold Control and click on the points selection. And what that'll do is that'll transfer the polygon selection to the points and allow us to actually delete the points without having to, you know, if we delete just the polygons, then the points will be left behind in points mode, and we'll have to do a right click and optimize. But instead of going through all that nonsense, just delete it at the source, delete the vertexes at the source, and just leave us with just these vertices. So amazing. We've got now a hair cap. We can use this in Maya to go ahead and grow our XGen primitives on. Amazing. But for our purposes here in Cinema, we can go ahead and on the Test2 mesh itself, go ahead and do a simulate hair objects. and add our hair. Alright, with the hair created, we're going to want to go ahead and reduce its size. So we can come here and we can go ahead and maybe give it 12 segments because it's going to be long hair. So by giving it more segments, we're going to allow the hair to be able to flop around a little bit more. It's going to be more dynamic. It's going to have more points to be able to like kind of sort of move around and be really nice. By default, your hair is going to be created on polygon vertexes, which is fine for this. 477 guides is actually going to allow us to get a really nice hairstyle and really nice flowing hair in XGen. So, and it's not going to really tax the Alembic too much and our hard drive space too much. So I'm going to keep it there. You could change that to polygon area, and then you can control the count of guides, which will give you maybe a faster simulation at the cost of the hairstyle being a little bit less defined. Let's see, we want to change the length. That's the big thing. So let's give her kind of sort of a semi-decent hairstyle here. Alright, and then we can go ahead and actually allow this hair to help us out. The hair system is dynamic by default. So once we hit play, let's go ahead and hit play. It's not going to hurt anything. So we hit play. You see, because of the 12-point kind of sort of guide system we got going here for the hair. If I go in here and I select not this one. Let's go ahead and select like our points mode here. See that we've got some really interesting splines here as far as the points are concerned. And this right here is actually my production layout. I've went over how to create layouts in a previous tutorial. However, I know this is probably a little bit confusing. These tools here are the grooming tools, and they're located under Simulate. And okay, here's the hair selection tools. So that's these tools right here. So I just went ahead and I've put those tools into a nice, easy to access area here. We've got our hair tools here. So that's these tools here. It's going to allow us to groom our hair, which is really nice. And we've got our hair selection, and then I think I might have taken the hair edit tools and broken them out as well, so I could quickly be able to select certain hairs and be able to edit only parts of the hair by having certain parts of hair selected. So that's good. Hair works almost exactly the same. In fact, I think it works exactly the same as polygons. You can have hair selections, so point selections, guide selections, and different things like that to allow you to customize certain parts of the hair. A lot of cool things. I've also added some other plugins here as well. Of course, here's my Genesis Wage Transfer plugin. I've added it to my system as well, and so forth and so on. But alright, back to the tutorial. So the hair system is going to allow us to quickly create a nice flowing hairstyle, actually, without very much effort at all. Only problem with this hairstyle right now, of course, is it's penetrating the mesh. So what we want to do is we want to click on the mesh, and we want to add a hair tag, and we want to add a hair collider tag. And we want to go ahead and save our project on a semi-regular basis, because dynamics can get pretty hairy and we may crash. If we hit play now, simulation is going to go a little bit slower because it's got to calculate that mesh. But now our hairs aren't going to interpenetrate the mesh anymore. They're going to kind of sort of bounce off, and they're going to settle real nice. And once we get a good settle, we can go ahead and actually use our simulate, and in one of these menus we have a set as dynamics operation here. I normally keep this in my menus. Let's see if I have it here. So it's probably going to be one of these. There it is. Set as dynamics is what we want to do. I think we want to have the hair selected first, and then we want to go in and we want to do a set as dynamics. And there we go. So if we hit rewind, now our hair is stuck in this mode here. It is no longer going to spring back up into that crazy afro. So with that done, what we want to do is go in here, select guide mode, which is going to allow us to edit our hair using the full guides. This is probably my favorite mode to edit hair in. We're going to go to our cut tool, and we're actually going to go ahead and cut her hair, give her a trim. So we want to kind of get the hair out of her face a little bit, give her a nice bang here. Alright, so that's good. And then maybe I just want to come and do like a slight trim like that on that side. Keep it a little asymmetrical. Maybe I'll give her the slightly same trim, but a little bit different, you know. And there we go. So that's our base hairstyle. We're not going to really do too much with the hairstyle here, but the great thing about this is with our hairstyle kind of sort of set up here, this will carry into our XREF. Now once again, Grayscale Gorilla has a really great hair tutorial that's like a hair primer, but real quick, just gonna go over maybe the brush tool here. So you know, some cool functionality here in Cinema is the fact that, you know, we can take this brush and now, you know, using sculpting like tools here in Cinema, I can just quickly take this hair and, you know, I can move it around, and I believe I have the ability to have it actually collide here. Yep, collisions. So now as I move the brush, you can see how as I push it against the skin there, it actually collides with the mesh, and it makes it really easy for me to get a really clean style here, you know. So I can have it lay flat on her body, and I can, you know, start to separate. I could maybe grab my selection tools. So let's grab the live selection for the hair, and let's just grab these hairs here and maybe deselect some hairs here, and then let's grab a few more hairs holding shift, and with just these hairs selected, I can go back into my brush tool, and I can set this to selected only. And now no matter what I do, I can't move these back hairs anymore. I can only move this particular portion of the hair itself, which is going to allow me to get some really nice you know, parts and bangs. I can really stylize this particular portion of the hair the way I need it to be stylized, and it's going to work out very nicely. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and call this good. I'm gonna go ahead and do a set as dynamics again, and that, my dear friends, will take care of the initials. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a new file, and we're going to do a save as, and we're going to go in, and I've created a new folder already called Test a Hair Tutorial. One thing I want to do with this is I do want to add underscores. The reason for this is there's a little bit of a pitfall in Maya. There's a little quirk. Maya always has these quirks. One of the reasons why I'm really not a fan. But there's just so much really good plugins and stuff over there that it's like, you know, I have to use it. But XGen, because of the kind of sort of programmer TD-esque way it works, it doesn't like spaces in the directory name, and it breaks a particular portion of the functionality that we're trying to do if we have spaces in our directory name. So we're going to want to stay away from that. We're going to make sure that we create names that adhere to a kind of sort of programmer type convention. Typically dashes, underscores. We want to stay away from spaces. We want to stay away from names that begin with numbers, different things like that. We want to be very careful with our directory naming schemes. Anyway, and we're going to want to start to create our directory structure here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder and call it C4D. This is going to be where all the C4D project stuff is held. And this one can be called Testa underscore here. And that'll give us our new Cinema 4D project. Now we can press Shift-C, bring in an XREF, and we can set this XREF to reference our master asset. So our modeling team just finished up the asset and they're like, hey, you know, here it is on the server or whatever. You can go ahead and grab it. So it's called test asset, boom, 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 version whatever, you know, and you can just bring it in and boom, you've got access to all your materials, you got access to the whole hair system and everything right here in your project, and it's just as we left it in our master. So we can go ahead and close the master to save some memory here, and here we are again. You know, this one can be edited, but it doesn't mess with the master, and this is where we want to do our actual animation, set up our actual scene, and do everything else. Awesome. So for that video that we just watched, all I did was I added a wind system to give our hair some motion so that we could see some really cool animation as we played with Arnold, and I created a nice camera move, so we're going to go ahead and recreate that. But first, let's take a detour and come back here to Testa2's directory, and we're going to go ahead and start to create our directory structure. So to composite the final scene, we went ahead and used After Effects. So we're going to go ahead and put an After Effects folder in here. We went ahead and used Maya, so we're going to put a Maya folder in here. And we also created some Alembic caches. So we're going to go ahead and put an Alembic folder in there. In the C4D folder, we're going to also create a EverClassic text folder. That's going to hold any textures we use in the Cinema 4D scene. And let's see if we missed anything. Okay, we have an FBX file. I maybe used the FBX to transfer over some data for Maya. The pre-renders folder typically stores my pre-rendered assets, so that's going to be stuff that comes out of, that gets spit out of Advanced Renderer or Physical Renderer in Cinema 4D, or Arnold, or Mental Ray in Maya. All that stuff, the pre-rendered individual EXR files will all get placed in here, and they'll be used for compositing and editing in Premiere Pro and After Effects. And then the final renders, the YouTube ready stuff, will be put in the renders folder. Cool. So with our directory structure set up, let's get back into our project and let's go ahead and do some animating right here in Cinema. So we're not going to go into Motion Builder today, guys. It's pure Cinema 4D animation techniques here. Alright, so first thing we want to do with the XREF, of course, is we probably want to change the name to Testa XREF. The next thing I want to do is Maya has an issue with this naming convention, namespace kind of sort of thing. So in the XREF here, underneath its options, we can get rid of the namespace, and that'll take care of that. Under the modify, we can go ahead and let it allow us to modify the hierarchy and the parameters. Okay. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pick the reference again, and that should fix that issue. Sometimes I don't know what it is exactly about the the XREF system in Cinema, but sometimes it's weird. Like you'll change something, or something will happen, and it'll be like it can't find the reference, even though it knows full and darn well that the reference is in the same place it was before. But anyway, let's go ahead and save this, and now we have the ability to delete stuff out of the hierarchy if we need to. So if we want to get rid of, say, the hair cap, or we want to get rid of some extraneous objects that we didn't need in our asset, we can certainly get rid of those. And by setting it to edit parameters, that also means that now the hair system won't be locked down anymore. So we can actually edit these parameters in the hair system. These would normally be locked in the XREF and wouldn't allow us to actually edit it. This means, of course, we can change our dynamics and do different effects that way, which are going to be pretty awesome. Let's start by creating our wind system here. So we're going to go in to simulate. We're going to go into particles here, and we're going to grab a wind. And what's really great about some of the Cinema 4D dynamic systems, there's a whole bunch of pitfalls with these systems, obviously, but some of the great things are the fact that everything does kind of sort of work together out of the box. It took quite a few versions for Maya to get that kind of sort of everything working together kind of sort of thing with their Nucleus solver, but here in Cinema, a lot of the generators anyway will work with multiple different dynamic systems here in Cinema, which is really great. With the wind, we're going to go ahead and add just a little bit of turbulence. We're going to add quite a bit of wind speed, and we're going to add a little bit of turbulence there. And let's see how this hair reacts to our wind. Alright, we're getting a pretty nice breeze. The hair is interacting really nicely with our mesh. Let's go ahead and increase the wind speed just a little bit more, so we get like a really major gust. Alright, cool. And then let's see how long it takes for, so I like it about here at about 8, so it's about 8 frames. That means what we need to do is just go ahead and set this to -8 frames. And that'll give us a run-up animation of about -8 frames to allow the hair to get into a state that we want to actually begin our animation at. If you're unfamiliar with run-up animations, I've done quite a few tutorials on Motion Builder and a few tutorials in the beginning of this Alembic series about the importance of run-up animations. But with that all set up, let's go ahead and make this 112 frames. This is going to give us enough time to go ahead and have a pretty decent camera animation. In our render settings, we want to go ahead and set up some preliminaries real fast as well. Definitely want to do 24 frames per second. Let's do 1280 by 720. Pretty standard format for me. Do 24 frames per second. I didn't mean to change the resolution. Let's put that back at 72. That's our standard screen resolution. And if we hit Control D, we can bring up our project properties, and in here we can set our frame rate to 24. Beautiful. And that's giving us about 7 frames of run up, give or take. Just kind of change the animation around. Let's make this actually 112 frames in 24 frames per second, and let's make this -8 again to keep it even. And that should give us enough run up time to get a really good blowing. So it's like the wind was basically already kind of sort of kicked up for her. Alright, so this is really great. Got some nice turbulence going there. Got some nice dynamics going. Well, that's it for the hair. Let's go ahead and use the Genesis rig here, the C4D Genesis rig, to go ahead and animate her a little bit. So we can click and select our controls right here in the viewer, which is really nice. We've got our pole controls here. We've got our hip controls. We've got our head controls and different things like that. With the character object, we can also access our controls by going into this hotspots tab here, and you can see I've set up all these controls for you to access really quickly. We've got a lot of controls on this character. So if we go ahead and look for our hand control, we can grab the right hand control. We can go ahead and start to manipulate that. With the right hand control selected, which we can actually click the component, the right arm, and it'll automatically select the hand control as well. We go into controls. I've set up some finger controls here as well. So we've got a curl for the thumb, we've got a curl for the index finger, middle finger, left finger, or the ring finger, and the pinky. So we can curl all of these in and create a fist real fast. This one still needs some work, obviously. We're going to have to reverse that. I don't like the fact that I have to go negative to actually roll that in. And then we've got these nice bend controls here on the fingers as well, which are going to allow us to bend the fingers in even more. So we could try to get that control this way, but one thing I want to do also, let's go ahead and create a new layer, call it mesh, and I definitely want to go ahead and drag the mesh in there and lock the mesh down so that I can't select it anymore. This will make it a little bit easier to grab my controls. And with this bend control, we can come in and we can actually bend the knuckle of the finger in and quickly get our hands into the appropriate pose that we're looking for. So there's a lot of bones and a lot of controls here, so we could add some more layers to go ahead and hide the bones. I believe the character object has some display properties here as well, so we can set the visibility so that only the controls are visible, and there we go. We have a really quick and easy way to go ahead and knock that out. Our pinky's a little messed up. As you can see, I'm still working out some of the kinks here. So the pinky bend is off for whatever reason. More than likely, it might not have anything to do with the rig. It might have to do with the way I actually attach the rig to this character. The character system in Cinema is really robust. It allows us to basically take a custom rig and apply it to any character we can come up with. So if you create like a big huge Goliath, like maybe use the Thing pose in Daz, for instance, to create the Thing character, which is like this big huge hulking 8-foot kind of sort of nasty creature. You can bring him here into Cinema with the Genesis rig, and then you can use in the character object here, you can actually use its adjust mode here. So this is going to allow you, of course, to be able to move bones around, and you can just click these bones and actually move them so they can match the size of the character that you're working on. Really amazing stuff. Alright, we've got an FK control here on the shoulder. We go back to animate mode and click that FK controller. We can go ahead and rotate our shoulder in an FK fashion if we so choose. I'm going to PSR reset that. I'm going to go ahead and use the IK to go ahead and move the hand down here. That's a really feminine kind of sort of look she's got going there, the way her hand is pursed up like that. That's cute. This is so fun. Alright, we can go into rotate mode on this hand controller, and we have the ability to FK move the hand, into the rotation that we want it to be in. Awesome. Go ahead and grab the other hand controller, and I'm going to go ahead and move it down. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate it into place. And I'm fine with it right there. I like that. And okay, we are looking golden here. Alright, so moving back to frame 1 here, we'll go ahead and start setting some keys. So with the arm selected, the hand control selected, let's go ahead and set a key on that. And let's go into our timeline and kind of sort of see where our keys are starting to be set here. So that was set at -8. We don't want to do that. We actually want to set this at 0 for the start of our animation. Basically what I want to do with this hand is there was a really interesting either article or tutorial I was watching, or an instructor taught me. But yeah, you basically don't want to keep anything in your scene static, especially human characters like this. They're alive, you know, they breathe, they move. There's some energy coursing through them that, you know, keeps them constantly moving at least a little bit. You know, whether they're respiring, you know, breathing through the lungs or whatever, or maybe they're just, you know, fidgeting with their hands or whatever. But yeah, we want to keep some constant movement. Actually, it was a SIGGRAPH tutorial M.Strange did, actually. If you haven't seen the SIGGRAPH rewinds, those are really good. They show off some really awesome capabilities in cinema and just get you really pumped for the program. I highly recommend them. They should be on Vimeo. If you look up SIGGRAPH Rewind 2014 Vimeo. They covered the new Arnold plugin, which really got me excited. And M.Strange is a Cinema 4D animator who has developed 3 full-length feature films here in cinema. And he had a really interesting presentation at the event, where he covered you know, some of the tips and tricks that allowed him to be able to animate by himself these films. And one of the tricks he discussed was, you know, to add life to characters. You know, in Motion Builder I've shown you how you can kind of sort of, you know, use keyframes and just kind of sort of copy them and kind of move them around, and just kind of create like a loop that keeps the chest kind of sort of moving a little bit. He was showing how, like in cinema here, if we were to go ahead and with our character object display our full hierarchy, this is going to allow you to see the full fleshed out rig that I've designed here, with all its tags and all its beautiful glory here. And what we can do is we can go ahead and actually use the search option to go ahead and just display only our controls, and this will just give us our controls here. And with these controls, what we can do is, particularly with the hand, we can go ahead and try to get it selected here, and scroll to first active. We can actually go ahead and add a vibrate tag. And what we want to do is we want to use the vibrate tag on, it looks like the x-axis here. And we just want to basically vibrate the x in a negative and positive direction. So Cinema 4D tags, vibrate tag. And what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to basically kind of sort of vibrate between -25 and +25 at a certain frequency, you know, on a regular kind of sort of animation cycle. This will all get baked into the limit cache, so we don't even have to set any keyframes, but you know, this will automatically kind of sort of animate the hand for us and give us, you know, really good animation without really having to do anything at all. We're gonna, of course, want to PSR reset that because that didn't really work out too well. But if we go ahead and bring this back down and rotate her hand back down. We can go ahead and play around with that vibrate tag and get kind of sort of the motion that we're going for. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this scene before I do that. I'll go ahead and bring this down to like maybe about 5 centimeters. And that's the x-axis that we're trying to do it on. Okay, let's see how this goes this time. So we should get a swaying motion that doesn't go too crazy. And so you see now we have a really nice subtle arm movement without it necessarily going out of control. We might want to make it even more subtle. So I'm gonna go ahead and revert to saved so I can keep her arm where it was. Looks like I kind of sort of maybe lost it. Let's see. I'm gonna go into world mode, obviously. So all our motion builder training kind of sort of applies. You know, world mode, like in motion builder, global mode is going to allow us to be able to get much easier animation on IK controls. You know, and then when we want to switch to a rotation, we want to turn off this global, which it did it automatically, and we kind of sort of want to just do rotations in local mode here, so we have a little bit of an easier play at that. Already, obviously, we're getting much better hand curl and stuff here than we would get in motion builder, because we have more fine control in here. I'm going to go ahead and play with this vibrate tag a little bit more. Let's see. Let's go with a amplitude of 2, frequency of 1. Why don't we do it absolute and see how that works? Whoops. Yeah, that was pretty hardcore, not gonna lie. Let's go ahead and revert to saved again. Hopefully this time she's where she needs to be. Didn't lose her. Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna let this go. I'm gonna go ahead and use this over here to try to go to frame 0 and see where I'm at as far as my animation is concerned. I'm gonna go ahead and save, and I'm gonna go ahead and, yeah, with this at 2, let's go ahead and play this back. And yeah, her hand just continues to move. Oh, okay. Looks like it might be working now. A little bit. That's looking great. All right. Like the way that's going. So yeah, we could try to do the same thing to the chest. So, you know, with the chest, maybe we want to, you know, just add a little bit of swaying motion this way to kind of sort of give it the idea of a little bit of respiration. We could really achieve respiration by using like deformers to go ahead and inflate the chest and deflate the chest. But I'm not going to go through creating a really complicated rig system like that. I may or may not add it to the Genesis rig though, this Genesis rig as a final component when I'm done with it. You know what, that I think that'll actually do for this video. I'm gonna go ahead and split this up into 2 parts because we've already spent kind of sort of an hour kind of going over like the basics here. So in the next one, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this out. We're gonna go into Maya, we're gonna do all the XGen stuff, and we're gonna be good to go. So alright, see you guys then.